All right, welcome back. I would say it's a pretty interesting time, right? There are those on one hand who believe a soft landing can be had, or that we're in the middle of one. Believe that, right? And on the other hand, we have the analysts that say the recession is just a given, and it's just how painful it has yet to be will be answered soon. Every day we get more and more info on the economy, and every day those who are bullish feel the need to explain it away, how it's not happening for them, right? We hear of more foreclosures on the rise, auto loan delinquencies on the rise, credit card application denials on the rise, and there's still a swath of pundits out there who think things are doing well and are good. And then there's this, right? The Wall Street Journal came out over the weekend that small businesses and their bankruptcies are rising at the fastest pace since the pandemic. While COVID programs to help those very businesses, now they're expiring, right? When is common sense going to take over? When will we get back to some sort of normalcy in investing? I can't wait to hear what my next guest has to say about this. Please welcome to the show, Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, thanks for being on. I was on a radio program this morning in Detroit, and the guys were saying, okay, Shellady, we agree with you. Things don't look good. When are you going to go back in? When are you going to start to really get aggressive again and start investing? And I said, when we have common sense take over again. Because right now, every time you go to bed at night, you think the world can't get any dumber. And the next morning you wake up and the world has gotten dumber. When common sense comes back into my life, then I'll get much more aggressive about investing the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get common sense anytime soon, Scott, because this is a designed, planned thing globally. And so because it's designed and planned, it is to bring about the new financial system globally, which they believe will be central bank digital currency. And so there is no common sense here. This is a designed thing. Absolutely.
All right. So your central bank digital currency you just mentioned, they did a pilot program in Nigeria, and I think they just cut it off, right? Because it created chaos and nobody liked it.
They actually had to, in Nigeria, they had to limit the amount that you could take out in cash at the ATMs because people were trying to circumvent the CBDCs so bad in Nigeria. So, there is definitely, it's a case study, Scott, that has to be done. They have to force it. But I know we were talking about the Bureau of Labor Statistics really changing these numbers on a consistent basis. And, that's what we're really concerned about today is what is happening with Bidenomics, that we're having these official government reports come out. And as you said, Mike Lee filled in for you on Friday and said that normally everything is within 3 standard deviations, almost 99.99%. And the statistical changes are 12 standard deviations. So it's statistically, I need everyone to understand, it is impossible. If we just look at June and July, they downgraded June and July by 110,000 jobs. 85,000 of the 225,000 reported in June disappeared, just gone, Scott. So what is happening? It's like they want these numbers to buoy the market, to make the market think everything's fine. And then we'll do a little correction on the 5th page of 3 weeks later when no one cares anymore and the market won't take it in anymore. And so this is just becoming egregious. I mean, 12 standard deviations, mathematically, statistically impossible, lets us know that this isn't intentional and nefarious.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that you worry about because that's the only thing that anybody's hanging their hat on right now. 3.7% unemployment rate. If it was any higher than that, we would definitely be in a stagflationary environment. But I don't know if it's at 3.7. I can't tell a lot of things about the government statistics because we've had that pandemic. A lot of folks are blaming it on the pandemic. I'm not quite so sure that's the case. That's an easy scapegoat. But it might take a few years before we really get back to normal numbers because I don't know about you, but you can't take 2022 and compare it to 2018. It's like apples and oranges. You can do 2022 and 2023. Yeah, that's fine. But that post-pandemic era, we're still kind of working the kinks out, I think. Now, the other side of that is what you just said. This is now, we had a report last week that said that the consumer, I don't know if you saw that, the expenditure, the consumer, but it came out half of what they thought it was going to be. The consumer is done. The consumer is done. And so now, with the consumer being done, where do we turn to keep 70% of the economy afloat?
Well, this is why I did a podcast, Scott, on the BTFP, the Bank Term Funding Program, because the Federal Reserve, the JP Morgan did analysis and said that could backstop $2 trillion of liquidity. We have a total of $3.3 trillion actually sitting in cash in the banks. So a lot of people think, oh my gosh, that's the size of our entire cash. No, but that's the amount of treasuries and that's the amount of liquid cash that, banks have used. They've bought treasuries, Scott. So normally a bank is going to get deposits, make loans, but the Fed convinced the banks don't necessarily make loans, buy the treasuries. So now when you have bank runs, what are they holding? They're holding treasuries. So BTFP is at par, no mark-to-market discount, at par after all these interest rates, giving them the cash dollar for dollar for the treasury positions that they hold. But the problem is it will still cause banks to have liquidity issues, because if you didn't own the treasuries, if you have all real estate finance, like, the regionals and stuff, you can't get the liquidity for that because it's only for the treasuries. So this is why we have the BTFP program. And I do think that we're going to have, you've got Citi, the head of Citi basically saying they have 8 days to get this stuff figured out. The banking crisis is not over. And you're exactly right. Liquidity is dry. And that's when we're going to see this really start to go south.
So I think you're referring also to that window that these banks were allowed to go to help shore up their balance sheets, right? Well,
they have a year. They have until March of this coming year, Scott. So this is a still open facility and can still be leveraged up to $2 trillion.
Right, and month over month, we're seeing record withdrawals. It gets higher with each month that goes by, and I thought we were done with that last April and May, right?
Nope, that's what I'm saying. That was a stopgap measure. And now, once the liquidity of the stimulus is out of the system and people have burned through their savings and credit cards over $1 trillion, now is when we expect to see the actual implications of having liquidity dry up.
Oh, boy, I tell you what, it just doesn't paint a pretty picture, but you put a pretty picture on it for us. Thank you very much, Rebecca Walser. That's awesome stuff. Great to have you on Monday. Happy Monday. Thanks for being on. All right, by now, I've got my go-tos. When I look at these markets, that's gold, oil, the 10-year yield, and the U.S. dollar. And folks, get a load of this. We'll start with gold. Why is this market down? It doesn't like